Welcome, everybody. It's Talking Cardboard, episode 9. As always, I'm Cardboard Legacy. Over here, we've got Cardboard Squares. Welcome aboard. We've got a fun little episode planned for you. It's been a hot minute. So the first part of our episode today, we're actually going to get a couple of details because it's been, I think, about 3 weeks since we've gotten together or something like that. Getting close. And so that's not much of a schedule, but we've both been really busy. So here's the part where I say, what's up with you, Robert?
Just working out there, grinding like everyone else is. Thankfully, I have been taken on by my local card shop. So I've picked up my second job, allowing me to see a lot more stuff come in, cards that normally you probably wouldn't get to see or hold or touch. I've been able to do so. Been able to crack a lot of product, even though it's not for me.
Right.
It still scratches that itch of opening a lot of product over on their Loop channel forum. So it's just been super fun, the hobby. And right now I've just been really focusing on my grading, getting stuff ready for more like the fall time, I think, with football coming back and then the peak of baseball during that time. So I'm just kind of preparing myself for the later part of this year.
You've been opening any Bowman? I know that's your favorite.
I love it, but I can't stand by the price point. So I've just been the singles that I do want, I've been kind of picking up along the way, but I gotta stay true to myself, and I set a budget for myself, and that's the one thing is like if I want to save up a little bit and buy a box of Bowman for $800, I might, but it's just one of those things where it's just kind of outside my budget realm. So I'm gonna stick true to myself and not dive in and feed the corporate greed.
Tell me, you got a rough work schedule recently? Any
We'll just say that last Friday was a 22-hour day. Okay, we'll throw that out there.
That's insane. That's a lot of hours. Cool, man. So from my point of view, it's a what's up with me, just been working a lot as well. I've had 2 wedding videos since the last time we've done an episode that I've shot. I still have to process and deliver them, so that takes up a lot of time, just getting ready, unpacking, doing all the stuff with all of those things. Plus still getting the card shop ready to go, right? We're still trying to clear everything out. But today, officially, this Sunday that we're recording this, was the last day we're selling items out of the shop. So there's no more, goods in there for sale. We're transitioning everything out of there so that we can get it converted over, start doing the painting. And, everything kind of starts from right now. So it's really kind of exciting in that front. But I'm not going to spoil that because I'm gonna give us a launch date, an official one here at the end of the video. So, but yeah, just staying busy. I've been buying cards too, getting all my tax exempt stuff lined up with all the different vendors has really been kind of cool because you don't have to pay tax because you're reselling it. Been getting some new wax. I got some on the bottom here. You see the Bowman?
Yes, sir.
Bottom shelf. There's some megas down there that I've been getting. So we're getting loaded up as best we can, even though I don't have any proper distribution yet. I will have a big order of hobby coming in. We'll see how that goes. But that kind of brings me into the next topic. And I think Robert, what are your thoughts on the market lately? Do you think they've been pretty good, pretty bad? I mean, how do you feel about the state of the card market? Because that's really our next topic here.
I think it's been pretty fair across the board. It's something that I think that we all knew was going to come, kind of like a balancing of the actual values. With the hype trains, we saw everything at the peak, and that was when everybody was stuck inside. And it does have to do with the world reopening back up. And I mean, I've seen it just in the 2 weeks that I've been at the shop where
for sure
you have people that aren't collectors, aren't hobby enthusiasts, but they just see everything on their social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. And they're buying stuff at Walmart, opening it up and, oh, this is worth this is worth that. So I think now it's just it's going to be good for people actually in the hobby, because we're going to be able to buy the things that we want at affordable prices and not see everything super inflated.
Sure. Yep. That makes sense.
I think the research you did kind of proves that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think for a little bit, like you said, we had a big hype train for the whole industry, right? There's a lot of new people coming in, a lot of money, and there was just a lot of money generally in the economy, I think, that pushed everything up, kind of like a big bubble in a way. It was somewhat inevitable that it comes down unless you have just awesome rookie class after awesome rookie class with a better manufacturing experience, which is not what we've really seen from the manufacturers. So I mean, there could have been things that could have kept it going if it was amazing. It's done pretty well for itself, though. I'm going to say that. We're still in a pretty healthy state. So I'm going to show you guys. I did just a little bit of research. I wanted to look over some longevity, some kind of goat plays, and just see what kind of information I could find out there. And Card Ladder was pretty cool. So I looked them up all on Card Ladder here. And just confirm for me, Robert, you got that right? It's coming through.
Sir.
Okay, so first card over here on the left-hand side is the 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle and a PSA 3. And the only reason I use that is because it's got a pretty high pop rate and it's kind of a liquid card. But as you can see, over all time, and I think this one goes back somewhere right around 15 years backwards on this all-time ladder. I know it doesn't show that pretty well, but anyway, there's, values all the way back to $255, and now it's a $1,500 card. So even just over steady time, you could draw a straight line and it's just going up. So Mickey Mantle, obviously 54 Bowman, rare card, super goat, legendary status stuff, right? But in the end, you're really talking about an investment, if that's what it is for you. So then you have, next to that, you've got the Mike Trout Topps Update rookie card and a PSA 10. Super iconic card, kind of first Topps print there. That's a really cool, cool rookie card to have for him. But there was a moment there where it was $7,425, and that was a big hype moment. That was like, I think, February of 2021. That one was, that purchase right there. Could have been an outlier, but even if you go down to that next peg, that's still a good $5,000. And so half value is definitely not a great place to be, but a 50% reduction isn't the worst, especially considering it's no worse off than what it was maybe a year before that. So next to that, then the 68 Nolan Ryan, that PSA 8, another pop 741, $10,000 card on April of 2021. Now a $6,000 card, right? So we got about a 40% reduction there. Pretty easy math on that. And then look, we got this Ken Griffey PSA 9, pop 27,000, super liquid card. Lot of movement on this one. And so it's a good indicator of what a market is on, somebody who's an amazing baseball player. But at one point or another, that thing went for $460, and now it's $205. So it's 50%. It's a big deal.
And I think you're going to see that with the people with the market the way that it is you're starting to see the people who have been around and really understand. And this is not just sports card world. This is TCG world, everywhere world. It's the things that are rare. Like you look at the mantle, okay? 640 population. I understand it's a low PSA and that kind of stuff, but the fact is that card is never going to get reprinted.
Right.
And the rate at which cards are being printed these days, cards will never have that population count. It just won't exist. There's just going to be far more of everything else. I mean, I preached about him in the beginning. I stand by my man Wander, but he's going to have over, between the products across the board, I would say close to 5 million rookie cards, if not more, printed this year.
You probably have more different variations or cards printed this year than Mickey Mantle did in his entire career.
Correct.
I mean, that's a weird comparison, but it's completely probably close to true.
I don't even think it's close. I think that's more than true. I mean, from Topps alone, they're estimating over 1 million cards printed.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's just one run.
Yep.
So I can definitely see that, and that's the thing with all these variations that they're putting into. It's good for the business side of the card companies, but it's also what's kind of creating those gaps and kind of is going to be what shapes the hobby. Right. I think base cards that, of the older players, yes, they'll still be worth money due to the low population counts and the rarity and the scarcity, but also the availability on the market. You don't see these 52 and 54 mantles all the time.
Nope.
If you do see it at a reasonable price, buy it. But you're going to be seeing these Wanders and these O'Neal Cruzes and all these guys that have everything coming out. I mean, look at Zion with basketball. It flooded the market. So it's just one of those situations where we're going to have to start teaching people that it's not great everything. But
You don't have to,
the
definitely.
autos, the numbered product, the stuff that is actually rare in its own case.
The trend here, if you look at these four that I picked out, the older cards in order almost have a better ability to stay afloat. If you see that, you know what I mean. So keep that in mind. You know, vintage and older is never going to go away. That's only going to get bigger and better, I think, because the
Correct.
rarity, the scarcity only goes up from here,
Correct.
especially with something that didn't have such big print runs. All right, moving on to basketball, just because I wanted to give comparison. And it looks kind of similar. You know, if you look at the charts real quick and just kind of glance at them, they're all in that same shape except for that Luca card. That's a pretty intense little curve there. But I mean, it's kind of like taking the other ones and expanding them out probably a little bit too, because it's got a shorter lifespan than some of the other things that I picked on the screen, right? So maybe not super fair, but you know, it looks like it's caved a lot. But again, that's probably, well, you know, 80% or sorry, 70% that it's caved. But that's an interesting one because the pop is now 2134, you know, as opposed to some of these other ones over here. But it's I just wanted to put up some goats there and show the people, you know, what that looked like. Those charts are very similar. So we've got these values that have come down anywhere from, you know, 40 to 50% on some of them. And they're still good holds, they're still good investments. But in the end, it's like it can't go down too much from here without everybody wanting to sell and get out of the hobby. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm not saying a mass panic sell from everybody, but there's a lot of people that feel like they've got money invested in it. And when it goes too far south, they start to worry.
100%. And Luke is one of those guys that, talking about the hype train, he was at the forefront. He was that guy during the lockdown, during everything. He was that chase. He was that guy that everyone was going after. And also, we have to look at the fact of how long grading was taking place. So finding him graded in good condition at that time was difficult. And now that PSA is starting to catch back up, you have so many more available in the market. So it takes away from the rarity, and it's going to lower the price. And until he wins that ship, it's just all it is hype. But
Right.
I mean,
It's not going to work out.
Yeah, with Kareem, you don't go on your Instagram or your Twitter or your Facebook unless you're into vintage realm and see that Kareem pop up all the time.
Right.
That's why those guys who are literally guys that change the forefront of the game itself, literally change the game, are going to keep to go up. But it's also the print run, the availability, and the number of cards that they had printed.
Right. There's a whole lot less reason to worry about if you can get a Luca today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can find one somewhere. It's a little different thing with, you know, with some of these older cards. All right. So last one we have is a football collection. And so we've got Tom Brady's Bowman Chrome in a PSA 10. For some reason, I only took the 2-year on that one. I wanted the all chart, but anyway, you can see that it was up at one point as high as 28,000 is that big spike there. And so now it's worth 15. So again, that's, you know, 46% decrease. So from the top of where everything was, there's a really, really strong argument that everything's down. But then if you look at Joe Montana, you've got him on an uptick, you know, over the last bit instead of a complete downtick, you know, that's an average up. So that looks pretty good. But that's a PSA 10. That's a little bit more rare. They didn't print as many in 1981, that's for sure.
Well, just to find one in a 10 is going to be hard during that era. But it's also like with people like Brady, when you get drafted as low as he did, he wasn't one of those guys that were held on to in the very beginning. He was the guy that you put in the don't even worry about penny sleeving it pile. He
Right.
was never supposed to be what he became.
Right.
So it's those guys that really kind of shock the world and kind of just shock everybody on the climb due to the fact that they weren't heavily collected right in the beginning. The rarity of finding their cards in perfect condition are a little bit tougher. So it's going to make those cards go up in value. And then you throw in the fact that he is the greatest ball slinger of all time, or at least one of, and continues to do what he's doing. I mean, if he wins another championship this year, Lord knows what's going to happen to his card prices.
Right.
Lord knows.
They're all going to go nuts again, I think.
Yes.
So we'll see. So, going on to that too, I mean, some of these guys from the 2020 draft class. So Prizm Football Hobby Box, look at it, on its low price, it was about $900. So that's a big, big increase for just the box itself to almost pull nothing. There's a chance of, right? And so that's pretty intense of an increase, but that draft class was pretty damn strong. So that's why that works that way.
Incredibly strong, yeah.
Yep. So, the value of these things in sealed product form, seems to still always be a good investment. I'm going to stop screen sharing here. Here we go. All right. So, the state of the market in general to me is, yeah, there's a whole lot of money that everybody lost on one big breath from when it came down from the top. But if you did what you were supposed to do before then with your short prints and your parallels and your varieties, all those kinds of things, collecting something of a little more value instead of just paper bases, you can survive this, that's for sure.
And it's also kind of what we've talked about a little bit, before in different episodes, is it depends on what you are. Are you a hobby enthusiast? Are you a collector? Are you a dealer slash flipper, someone who's trying to make a quick buck? Or are you a long-term investor? And those three things are really going to determine how that market hits you. If you're a dealer or flipper, that market hurts you kind of bad. If you're a hobby enthusiast and you're collecting your guide and you've been collecting them for however long, this, that, the other, and you have Brady's out the wazoo because you're a Patriots fan,
you don't care.
Just fine.
Yeah.
As long-term investors, these are the guys that kind of touch into the vintage world. They're ecstatic right now. I think vintage is going to be the new pop over the next 18 months, simply due to the print runs that we keep getting of all these products. I mean, I haven't seen a single product come out this year that has not added at least one variation or different prism or different colorway into their product.
Sure.
And that's everything from unlicensed to licensed product. They're going to keep doing whatever they can do to fill up these packs and make the stock that they have run even further and further and further. And all it is the same players.
Yeah, millions and millions of base cards out there. So bringing us to our next topic, actually, we'll kind of combine both ideas because I think it's more fun that way. So PSA is reopening their value submission. That's just recently announced. That's more like $30 a card, I think, with a minimum of 20 cards on the sub. And it's 180 days or more, I believe, is the target turn on that, because they think they're going to be caught up pretty soon, in terms of, being able to make that 180 days from now type turn for people, which is kind of an interesting, place for them to be actually caught up. Thoughts on this, Robert?
Them catching up, I can kind of see when people were complaining about their cards taking a year, this, that, the other, and then the price hike and everything. I mean, I know a lot of people, and I know that you very well may know some too. How many people do you know that have a box that is full of rigid top loaders that they've been waiting to send off till they get to that point?
I know me, at least, because I have one of those boxes myself, and I dream about submitting cards a lot.
So as much as I would like to say that it's going to be that 180-day turnaround, I mean, even in that case, you're talking 6 to 7 months minimum. Okay, that's
Probably
bare minimum.
Yeah.
So let's figure, okay, let's give them an extra 10% of time. Someone lends you $100, you throw them 110, thank you very much. That's an extra 2 months. So you're talking realistically right around a year at that rate.
Yep.
And how many people across the country and across the world have been just stashing and stashing and stashing, waiting for that price point in that area to open back up?
I think
my biggest fear is they're going to get flooded all over again. That's my biggest fear.
I mean, hopefully people have learned, though, not to do the base card submissions as much. I mean, the other part of this, message right here that we wanted to talk about was about the junk slabs. I mean, I'm on eBay, looking at stuff all the time, just price checking and or shopping for whatever reason. And literally seeing base card after base card after base card in a CSG and a HGA and a PSA, and they're all like 9s, 8s, 8.5s, and it's like they're trying to sell them for $20 a piece, and I'm like, you're out of your mind.
That's like me, like my guy Wander. Okay, I do the rainbows, I do the numbered cards. Out of 25 all the way down to 499. If it's numbered, you have a finite number of how many of those cards are in circulation. I had this base card, which you average almost 2 per box in 2021 Bowman. I have 150 copies of it. I never plan on sending a single one of those to get graded, to do anything with. I don't see the value. But I watched a guy do a unveiling the other day. He sent off 550 copies of the base
To PSA
PS,
or STC or
PSG, and SGC. He split it
okay.
between the two, 275 and 275. I'm like, why in the world are you grading a card that you know is going to have a gabillion print run?
Jesus, yeah.
The base cards are not worth it at all anymore. It's not like back in the day when you only had the set. This is not your 50s, 60s, and even kind of 70s sports eras where they didn't have the inserts, they didn't have the numbered cards, they didn't have the parallels. Back in the day, the card box was the card box. There really wasn't base or insert. So the bases were your inserts from back then. And I think that it's something that hobby shop owners, that us in the hobby, that anybody getting into the new hobby really needs to try to explain to people. Like, there's nothing wrong with holding on to that card, put it in the sleeve, put it in top loader, put it in your box, and keep that in your PC. But don't really waste your time and money grading it, thinking that it's going to come back and be a higher value. I mean, you just talked about somebody trying to sell slabbed cards for $20. Are they even getting their grading price back?
No, not really. But I mean,
I
that's
mean,
the point. Like that's the thing. There were so many sent in. There's so many sent back out now. There's a flood, an absolute flood of junk slabs. I mean, that is the only way you can say it, because there's junk wax, but now there's junk slabs, because we're almost in the same era, but people are just grading too much, and they're grading
exactly.
everything, and it's out of fucking control. I mean, pardon my French for anybody who listens with their kids, but that's how extreme this problem is. People think just because they slap it into a slab that it's going to make it worth a whole lot more money. And the intent is good, but it's that's not going to work out that way, I guess.
But
you
I
know
also think it kind of comes down on the grading companies themselves. Like, I think that they need to do a public service announcement and say, "Hey guys, look, like, I understand you want to protect your cards and you're trying to do this, but doing the base is not worth it. Like, be compassionate to the people that are in the hobby. Also be compassionate. Yes, does everyone want to make a little bit of money here or there? Of course they do. But someone who's brand new to the hobby, who opens up some Wander Franco rookie cards this year out of Bowman, base rookie cards. Oh, this is the chase guy. That's who you're after. This, that, the other. They send it in. Oh, I want to do the faster time. So they're paying $150 a card. By the time it's all said and done, between time, shipping, labor, box cost, all that kind of stuff, you're talking $200-300 into the card to get it back. And it's only going to be $100 sub. Like, it just makes no sense to me.
right.
And it hurts me because it's going to make a lot of the new people that are entering the hobby, who are kind of opening it up for the dealers that have been around for a while, buying up their product, maybe stuff they couldn't move, all that kind of stuff. They're going to leave because of just a pure disappointment and frustration of them thinking that they're going to be able to make a buck. But that's why we always say, please do your homework, do the research, go pull up the PSA pop count, pull up the SGC pop count. All that stuff is made accessible to us for that reason. They give us the tools, but we just don't use them.
The only thing credible to a junk slab, maybe, is if it's super Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like that type of a situation. Tom Brady base cards from 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, are those cool to grade?
I mean, if you go back, hop on like a site like a Cardboard Connection, look at the set list, see how many parallels are in that set. Try to do some homework and research to figure out how many boxes were produced. I'm not saying don't grade any base card, but any base card printed from, I would say, 2020 and up is going to be completely overprinted. I mean, I might even go back to like 2018 and up, to be honest with you. It
Yeah,
might be,
18, 19, somewhere in there is when it started getting super ridiculous again.
yeah, so it might just be well overprinted. And it's also, look at who they are. Like I said, even Tom Brady, I can guarantee you he did not have as many cards printed at a base, parallel, whatever level it was during those years, than some of the other people that he was around.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean,
So,
I bought some like Tom Brady Mosaic 2020 green, like NFL MVPs green.
Hmm.
I buy a little stuff like that for resale just because it comes in low cost enough that I can still turn it around low cost enough to have a good time with it. And I think there's some value in that, 'cause some people just want to have, a cool graded Tom Brady or something as they're starting to collect. There's some entry cards and some lower stepping things. And that serves a different part of the market. And I think base cards can do that for kids too, like get them into the graded stuff. But the problem is they have to be about 10 or 15 or maybe $25 max, right? Like keeping these cards super, super cost effective for the younger collectors that want to wander into a shop or something like that would be awesome, because there's going to be so many of them. And I think the market's going to push everything down. People paid $50 or more, and if they graded in the last 2 years with PSA, and there's a lot out there for $30. It's the truth. You can buy 100 million slabs at $30 from PSA right now. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean,
So
I was buying stuff even end of last year from CSG that was, I mean, I have an Otani rookie that I bought for $25. And it's partially because CSG doesn't get the recognition they deserve. But if I wanted to, I could have cracked it out, sent it back in, got a CSG 10. But now I'm just thinking about taking it out. If it got a 9.5 from CSG, which at the time on their documentation was literally the hardest graders with centering, edges, cornering, everything else, I'm going to take that card out, send it off to SGC, who's my personal go-to for cards of value. And that card's selling for between 60 and 80.
mhm.
So it's like I could, do the quick turnaround, make it 4x my money. And now with the things that he's continuing to do, Shohei Otani's throwing 101 this same game as he's has an exit velocity of 114
Yes,
miles
I
an
saw
hour.
that.
I
I saw
mean,
that.
the guy is just a man
He's a
amongst men
stud.
and a different breed.
He's a stud, man. He's a complete stud. Okay, and moving on to the next topic, I want to talk about the recent release of NFL Prizm football and
Uh,
its prices. Um, the hobby box price, for one, for me, seems to be just insane right out of the gate. Like for the draft class, you mentioned it. Give me your thoughts first, and then I'll wrap this one up.
it's Prism every year. I think the biggest thing that no one's talking about is how undervalued Optic is. I just, for me, like when it comes to football, I think Optic, I think Prism. Okay, and Prism, I believe, just gets so much overhype that I could very easily see within 2 to 3 years, due to that fact of Prism getting all the hype and Optic kind of being the redheaded stepchild, so to say. I could see Optic clearly overtaking the value on that, like long term. But it's just, again, it's hype, hype, hype. It's a lot of people trying to jump in and make the quick buck, and that's what's going to happen. Um, I've talked about this before. Let allocation period happen. Wait the 90 days. Like if you can't go and buy a $1,500 box, don't spend your rent money trying to hit it big or get it quick rich. I mean, I've seen so many guys open up a box and the best card out of it, is maybe $100, but that's one
Right,
card.
right.
So they're not everyone's making their money back. And yes, you have the chance of hitting that banger 100%, but that's in any product. I'd much rather see you go spend $100 and buy a couple blasters at Target or Walmart and kind of budget yourself and stay within your realm and try to hit that. The Wander 1 of 1 Superfractor and Bowman was hitting a blaster.
Yeah.
It does happen. So
Yep.
it's one of those things, but I think the prices are extremely overly priced. This class isn't as strong as last year's class. There are a lot of players that I do like in it, but it's also, again, you look at this year, they added in, what is it? The manga.
Yeah, yeah, manga. I think it's after the art, they're trying to do a play on the art.
Yep. It's just one of those added in little things that now
Have you
it's
seen some of
every
the
year.
prices on those though?
Yes.
Like what? Really? Aren't they equivalent to a case hit or something?
Basically it's like kabooms
Yeah.
from other products and stuff like that. But yeah, you're talking, I mean, depending on the player level, anywhere from 1,000 to a mediocre player to 5, 8, 10,000 for a good player. And that to
Watch.
me is astronomical.
I'll pull up one of them charts in the future on one of those cards, and we'll watch those fall to the ground. I have a feeling those are going to come way down from here.
Oh yeah, it'd be interesting to see even with Kabooms because Kabooms are 3 years in, I think now.
Oh no, they've had kabooms for shoot 7, 8 years, I think.
I would like to do a comparison on those and see what the Kaboom prices are. That's a nice little side project for us to take on for one of these
Right,
episodes coming
right.
up.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, here's what I see on Facebook. Someone was asking 10K, no, 8K for some Pat Tillman numbered to 5 something or other. And I'm like, what? Really? No. Wow. Like I sell kind of stuff like that from 2017 in my eBay for like $6.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing is like it's just those rarities. And Pat Tillman has a little story behind him and all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna have the soldiers who are trying to get stuff for him and all that kind of jazz and American pride. It really comes down to what the card is and who it is and the crossover. I
Right.
would like to see a lot more crossover from these companies and giving us kind of a multiple lead way of doing it and not just a football player. But I mean, with the manga, you're gonna have, the people who are into the illustrators and the illustration proofs and all that kind of stuff are going to want to collect them just for the illustration factor and not the players.
Sure.
It's like, why is Brock Lesnar in Prizm this year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Simply his hype in wrestling and everything else has been so big. They figured, oh, if we could sign him, get him to sign some cards, put him in.
Wasn't he a football player for a hot
He,
minute?
he was like for 2 or 3 seasons, like 15 years ago.
Right. I mean,
So
so
it's like 15, 20 years ago. So it's like
at least he was in football.
He was, but back then no one knew who he was.
Right.
He was a wrestler when he came out of and going into college, coming out of college. He played football simply because of his size.
Right.
So, but it's like they're trying to pull these people from the WWEs and the wrestling formats and the UFC formats, trying to come get his autos. And like that's the crazy part for me is, I mean, I saw one of the craziest cards I've seen so far has been a Rex Ryan rookie autograph card from Prizm.
Okay.
Rex Ryan has been in the league for, I got to say, probably 15, 20 years minimum.
Right.
And now they're printing rookie cards for coaches because they just want to fill boxes. And these are the things that we in the hobby need to look at. Like, is it worth behind boxes when one of our autos is going to be a coach?
Yeah, maybe unless it's Belly,
I mean, even then, like Bill Belichick
I'll take his auto in a Prizm box. I don't care. That's
like, I would, if I got coach autos, I would be thoroughly upset. I wouldn't even care if it was Bill Belichick. Like, I'm doing this for the players, not the coaches.
Sticker auto.
It is. Just like most of the product is this year. I haven't seen, the only on-card autos I've seen this year have been from Absolute Baseball and Gypsy Queen. So it's one of those things where thank God for baseball.
No kidding, huh? Yeah, I guess that's true. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to point out, I think, it might be prudent to stay away from Prizm early. You know what I mean? Right after launch date. And we talk about this with other products too. We really have before. It comes out, there's huge hype, and then it all settles down as soon as there's more product out in the wild. Fanatics did a drop, and I want to say I was lucky, and I pulled the exclusive blasters. I got a bunch of those coming for the shop. That should be awesome. So
yeah, I want one of those.
Well, maybe I'll save you one.
Hold.
I'll reserve you a box then. So yeah, that's cool. I really enjoyed being part of that process. I'd never done a drop on their website before, so that was interesting. So along with that news and the end of this episode, thank you guys for coming along again. Like I said, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, even if we're good or bad or whatever you feel about us. It's just prudent to do so. So the official card shop launch date is being unveiled right now to the public. It is going to be July 22nd, and it's the whole weekend. It starts Friday, goes through Sunday. We're going to have everything open for everybody to come check out. Hopefully I'll have some interesting specials and sales and deals. But I really just want everybody to come check it out and see what's going on and see what the work is that we put into it, and kind of, just see what we're trying to build, a little community for all the people where you can expect to have your trade nights and, have some fun and have some memories in the hobby. So that's what we're trying to do. And so July 22nd. And Robert, are you still planning on coming, buddy?
I most certainly am.
Woo! I'm so excited. It'll be the first time we meet in person, everybody. That's going to be so cool. I'm ready. It'll be fun. So with that in closing, Robert, is there anything else that you wanted to say this episode here?
Hey, just stay smart out there, guys, and enjoy the packs, enjoy the rips, have fun. That's the biggest thing. Have fun, but just do your homework. When it comes to grading, try to grade the inserts, the numbered cards. But like I said, this is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. And here's my thing for some guys: if you got some base cards and stuff that you just don't want when you're at a shop ripping, and you see a kid, hand it off to the kid.
Boom.
Make his day.
Make his day.
We try to do it all the time, and like you said, it might not, the base cards might not mean much to us, but to a kid who's starting his collection, could be everything that he wants and enjoys, which makes him try to learn more about the hobby, learn more about the industry, learn more about the community. So it's just kind of opening doors for everyone to help the community stay strong.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with that, thank you guys so much. See you in episode 10.